Cari fratelli e sorelle, buongiorno.
Dear brothers and sisters, good morning.
Per uscire da una pandemia,
To emerge from a pandemic,
occorre curarsi e curarci a vicenda.
we need to look after and care for each other. Look after and care for each other. And we must support those who care for the weakest, the sick, and the elderly. There's a habit to distance the elderly, to abandon them. It's awful, this attitude. These people, well defined by the Spanish term cuidadores, or caretakers, those who take care of the ill, play an essential role in today's society. Even if they often do not receive the recompense they deserve. Taking care of others is a golden rule of our nature as human beings and brings with it health and hope. Taking care of those who are ill, those who are left aside or left out, this is a human and Christian richness. We must also extend this care to our common home, to the earth, and to every creature. All forms of life are interconnected, and our health depends on the health of the ecosystems that God created and entrusted us to take care of. Abusing them, on the other hand, is a grave sin that harms and makes us sick.
Il migliore antidoto contro questo uso improprio della nostra casa comune è la contemplazione.
The best antidote against this misuse of the common home is contemplation. But why is that? Isn't there a vaccine for that? In order not to set aside care for our common home, what is the antidote for not taking care of our common home? It's contemplation. If someone has not learned to stop and admire something beautiful, we should not be surprised if he or she treats everything as an object to be used and abused without scruple. This is to use and throw away. However, our common home, creation, is not a mere resource. Creatures have a value in and of themselves, and each one reflects in its own way a ray of God's infinite wisdom and goodness. That's a quote from the Catechism of the Catholic Church. This value and this ray of divine light must be discovered. And in order to discover it, we need to be silent, we need to listen, and we need to contemplate. Even contemplation also heals the heart. Without contemplation, it is easy to fall prey to an unbalanced and superb anthropocentrism, that I am at the center of everything, which gives excessive importance to our role as human beings, positioning us as absolute rulers of all other creatures. A distorted interpretation of biblical texts on creation has contributed to this misinterpretation, which leads to the exploitation of the earth to the point of suffocating it. Exploiting creation, this is the sin.
Crediamo di essere al centro pretendendo di occupare il posto di Dio
We believe that we are at the center, claiming to occupy God's place, and so we ruin the harmony of creation, the harmony of God's design. We become predators, forgetting our vocation as custodians of life. Of course, we can and must work the earth so as to live and to develop, but work is not synonymous with exploitation. It is always accompanied by care, working and caring, taking care and caring. This is our mission. We cannot expect to continue to grow on a material level without taking care of the common home that welcomes us. Our poorest brothers and sisters and our Mother Earth lament for the damage and injustice we have caused and demand we take another course. They demand a conversion of us, to take another path, to take care of the earth as well, of creation. Therefore, it is important to recover the contemplative dimension. If we view creation as a gift and not as something to be exploited for my own profit. No. When we contemplate, we discover in others and in nature something much greater than their usefulness. This is the key to the problem. Contemplation means going beyond the usefulness of something. To contemplate the beauty doesn't mean exploitation. It means to contemplate. It's a something freely given. We discover the intrinsic value of things given to them by God. As many spiritual masters have taught us, heaven, earth, the sea, every creature has this iconic or mystical capacity to bring us back to the Creator and to communion with creation. For example, St. Ignatius of Loyola, at the end of his spiritual exercises, invites us to carry out contemplation so as to love. That is, to consider how God looks at his creatures and to rejoice with them, to discover God's presence in his creatures, and with freedom and grace to love and care for them. Contemplation which leads us to an attitude of care is not a question of looking at nature from the outside as if we were not immersed in it. No, we're immersed in creation. We're part of nature. Rather, it means we're part of it from within. We recognize us as part of creation, making us protagonists and not mere spectators of an amorphous reality that is only to be exploited. Those who contemplate in this way experience wonder, not only at what they see, but also because they feel they are an integral part of this beauty, and they also feel called to guard it and to protect it. And there's something we should not forget. Those who do not know how to contemplate nature and creation don't know how to contemplate people when they have requests. And to live in an attitude of exploitation, creature flows into exploiting others, treating them like slaves. This is a universal law. If you don't know how to contemplate nature, it will be very difficult that you know how to contemplate people, the beauty of a person, a brother, a sister, all of us. Those who know how to contemplate more easily set to work to change what produces degradation and damage to health. They will strive to educate and promote new production and consumption habits to contribute to a new model of economic growth that guarantees respect for our common home and respect for people. The contemplative in action tends to become a guardian of the environment. This is beautiful. Each one of us needs to be a guardian of the environment, of the purity of the environment, seeking to combine ancestral knowledge of millennia-long cultures with new technological knowledge, so that our lifestyle may be sustainable.
Infine, contemplare e prendersi cura.
Contemplating and caring, these are two attitudes that show the way to correct and rebalance our relationship as human beings with creation. How many times our relationship, more than anything else, seems to be that of enemies. I destroy creation for my own profit. Let's not forget that we'll pay for this. Let's not forget the Spanish saying, God forgives all the time. We forgive every now and then. Nature never forgives. Today I was reading in a newspaper about the two large glaciers in Antarctica near a sea. I didn't get the name of the sea. They're about to fall. This will be terrible because the sea level will grow, and this will bring many, many difficulties and a lot of bad things. And why? Because of global warming, because we're not taking care of the environment. We're not taking care of our common home. Instead, when we have this relationship, allow me to use this word, fraternal, this fraternal relationship with creation, we become custodians of the common home, custodians of life, and custodians of hope, guardians of life and hope. They guard the heritage that God has entrusted to us so that future generations might enjoy it. Someone might say, oh, but I can get around like this. But the question is not that you can get around about today. This comes from a German theologian, a very good theologian, Dietrich Bonhoeffer. It's not that you can get by today, but what will be the inheritance that we leave to future generations? Let's think of our children, our grandchildren. What will we leave them if we exploit creation?
Custodiamo questo cammino, diventando custodi della casa comune, custodi della vita e anzi custodi della speranza.
He's repeating, those who follow this path becomes guardians of our common home, guardians of life and hope. We become guardians of the heritage that God has entrusted to us so that future generations might enjoy it. I think especially of the indigenous peoples, to whom we all owe a debt of gratitude, also of repentance, to repair the evil that we have done to them. But I'm also thinking of those movements, associations, popular groups, which are committed to protecting their own territory with their own natural and cultural values. These social realities are not always appreciated, and at times they are even obstructed because they don't make money. But in reality, they contribute to a peaceful revolution. We could call it the revelation of care, taking care. To contemplate in order to take care of, to contemplate in order to be custodians, to guard. We as custodians of creation, handing it on to our children who will be the custodians of others, in order to leave an inheritance to the future generations. And this cannot be delegated to others. It should be the task of every human being. Each one of us can and must be a guardian of the common home, capable of praising God for His creatures, of contemplating creatures and protecting them. Thank you.